Okay, so just so you know, today is a modified version of the presentation that you might have done before on UDO your classroom. It's really about the tech tools that are available, and I'm not going to talk about all of them because there's tons. I'm going to talk about which ones I think are the most important to walk away with. Okay, my why is Luke. When Luke was in fourth grade, they said he would never get past the third grade reading level. And that would be where he was. And he would be on IEP plans forever. And I will tell you, that's because of the teachers, not because of Luke.
Right.
Because the teachers at that time tried so hard to make him do everything exactly like everybody else did. They would spend an entire day and be so proud of the fact that they got him to write out a sentence with his hand when he's got cerebral palsy, and he wasted the entire class day trying to do something like everybody else. He failed seventh grade math his first quarter, or math, art his first quarter, because he was getting an F every single day on the fact that he wasn't able to sketch with everybody else. There's a sketching thing that the teacher did the first 15 minutes of every day. She had 25-point rubric, and he could only get 5 points to the 25 points every single day, and he failed the class because so much emphasis was put on getting him to do things like everybody else. Now kids can do things the same. You can't fit a square peg into a round hole. We need to find the square hole. And this class is really about the hole that we found for Luke and how we succeeded with Luke. And it was not ever done at Eton. Repeatedly, and that, we're new. Neither one of us are IEP teachers. It's our first handicapped child. We don't know how things are supposed to work. We knew art shouldn't have been an F. And we ended up having to go and meet with the principal, and the principal had to tell the art teacher, you can't fail him because of his handicap. She's like, well, he's not doing the drawing like everybody else. And he's like, you have to exempt it from that. And she wouldn't just exempt it, she had to put it in the grade book, exempted by direction of principal, which showed up every single time they looked at the progress book that my teacher didn't care enough to do this. She was made to do it. And it's like a little stab in the side every single time you go into your progress book. What saved Luke was COVID. When he went 100% online and had everything available online, he flourished. Because all of the tools that I'm going to talk about were ones that he had to use every single day to do all the online courses. And he figured out how to do it. And it wasn't because anyone really showed him. Well, I mean, Beth and I helped try to figure out, okay, how can you do this? How can you do it? But many of the tools were built into the online classes. You could listen to the class. You could have it read to him. And, ended up being in CCP English and getting an A, 2 years in CCP English in this one subject that Eaton said he'll probably never get past third grade reading. He passed the third grade reading guarantee, but that he's probably plateaued there because we were all concerned. And some parents are too. We've seen that before with other parents that like, I don't want my child to be on an IEP. I want him to do it like everybody else. And maybe doing it like everybody else is just setting your child up for failure. Anyway, so tools can make learning accessible. Today I want to talk about teaching students to use the right tools and what tools. There are others. And I'm going to tell you, you may have one that's better. I don't know, but I'm going to tell you which ones worked the best when we tried many different ones, which ones worked the best for Luke. Had an update, and I'm saying your Moodle, but in your guys' class or your guys' situation, it's more, you're going to have to work with the primary teacher to get that updated to be usable. Because I know many, many Moodle classes are not. They have to be updated to use those tools. And really, when you update Moodle to use those tools, you're doing it for the IEP student, but you're making it universal design for learning for every single student, whether they're identified or not. And ways we can provide more opportunities to learn and succeed by doing those things. You don't have to read this. The difference between UDL and differentiation is that if we make a course UDL, we make it accessible for every single student in the class, whether they're identified or not. And therefore they self-differentiate. They choose what ways they access the material. I had more IEP kids last year than I had non-IEP kids in my hardware class. It's the first year that's ever happened that I'm looking at the IEP 504 list, and it's 75% of my class. And then I had one advanced student, what are we trying to say? Gifted student and one non-gifted student. Everybody else was on a 504 or IEP. But I didn't have to do anything different because I'd already spent all this time when Luke was in the class, actually a little bit before Luke was in the class, to make it UDL for everybody. And those students like Gabe, who you guys will, yeah, he can't read at all. Yeah. Did I ever send him over to your room one time for a test? They got to be in my class. They got to be in my class because everything had already done UDL. He just stuck the headphone in and all the tools are already ready for him. And I'm like, why do you need to go there? Mr. Bachman can't answer a question on our power supply calculation. He's just going to look at it and he's going to read it to you, but he can't answer a question. How do you figure out the wattage worksheet? That's why you need to stay in here. And in general, he didn't ask any questions on the test. Almost never. The other person that really asked was, who should have been gifted, was Ollie. Right? He's a gifted IEP student, the one the we're give to, right? And if he takes his time and will just read the question, he almost always have data. Anyway, so that's the difference between UDL and differentiation. Using UDL gives the students a way to see those different things the different ways to learn. Here at Trail, we have all the tools we need. Everybody has all the tools needed. The only thing I'm going to say when it comes to the tools list, if you've got a student that needs something different, Macy needed a smaller, lighter laptop. Luke needed a touchscreen laptop. If you guys have students that fall into that, you know what, if they had this, they would be able to flourish. You just need to ask. You know, I don't know why Macy never asked for a lighter laptop before, but then she did. And I'm like, well, of course we can. You know, and we'll get you a laptop bag for your wheelchair. So you just need to ask. There's almost nothing in Trail, I'm saying almost, that we wouldn't do for a student if we know. But I can't know that you guys have to know. Or you know, Google it, look it up, try to figure out, hey, I've done a bunch of research and they really need this thing in order to succeed. Right. And as long as it's not ridiculous, and I've never had anything asked for that was ridiculous, and I'm saying $20,000 might be a little bit high for one student, right? That's what I'm doing. But if it's like, oh, this is $1,000, I don't know if we can do it. Well, of course we can. Okay. So all the teachers have these tools at their disposal. Whether or not they use them is another question whatsoever, right? We all have one-to-one. Everybody has projectives. Everybody has an interactive whiteboard. I've gone into rooms where they just unplugged them and didn't use them. Interactive whiteboards are one of the most underutilized things that teachers should use. Because if you don't use it, you can't record like I'm doing. You can't save the notes as a PDF. I mean, there's tons of things that you can give to a student to help them learn just by using their interactive whiteboard. And I hear this, there's my thing. Oh, I'll use it as soon as I learn how to use it, really do it. Okay, so you just said you're never ever going to use it. Because no one can learn how to use anything very good if they don't use that thing. No practice. Yeah, you have to. And who has time? I'm just going to sit in my room during plan period and write on a board. Nobody has time, right? When Lance Whitehart, I forced him to put a smart board on because I had a grant. This before we all had smart boards. I had a grant for science teachers to get smart boards in grades 7 through 12. And I applied for the grant. I got the smart boards. I'm like, Lon, please, if you let me mount it, 2 weeks. If you will try it for 2 weeks, at the end of 2 weeks, if you say, I want to use my chalkboard, I'll take it down. I will never say anything ever again about it. At the end of 2 weeks, Lon said, I will stab you if you take that smart board away. Because as soon as he got used to using it, he's like this, you know, and there's so many things that even the people who use it don't necessarily do. Recording what I'm doing is one button. Record, stop. That's it. It's not work. It's one button. And then the Gates or the Ollies that want to watch it again, or it's there, right?
Right.
Some people, and Luke can't read he still can't read as well as a 12th grader. I shouldn't, at the same reading, but he can, if he hears it, he knows it.
Right.
And he'll listen to it again. And there's so many kids that are smart, but they got pigeonholed with the, you can't read, therefore you're dumb.
Right.
And when I was a new computer science teacher over in Wendell's room, they said, we got these students who only read your third grade reading level. Here's some typing textbooks for them, which weren't at the third grade reading level anyways. I'm not sure what the point was. It's like, here's a different textbook they can't read. But that's what they gave me. And I was like, oh, they're dumb. Because that's what I was basically told by saying, don't teach them computers, teach them typing, which I cannot do because I am the world's worst typist. Anyway, they should all have microphones. If they don't, we'll give them a new one. Yeah.
The microphones. We ran into this last year. And I went out and bought some from Best Buy, the $10 or whatever they were. The earphones that they get now, if they don't have the ones from the beginning of the year, don't have a microphone on.
The ones they get all have microphones on them. And if they ever lose them, they just have to go down to the office and they'll give them another one. They'll put $5 in their fees for losing. So yes, but if they go to the dollar store and just get a pair of headphones that don't have a mic, it's not going to work. Great. Yeah. I'm talking about teacher microphones, but yes, okay. That's all I'm saying for teacher tools, but then students also have headphones with mics. We have document cameras, just like what I'm using to record this. All of our copiers do scanning to PDFs. And then as teachers, we have Adobe Acrobat, which we can then modify those PDFs, which is kind of a class on its own. The first thing I was going to say that we have to do is we have to make the materials as digital as possible to use these tools. If the teacher in the classroom doesn't actually post their stuff, if they're just handing out worksheets, that worksheet is not also online, then that's one of the things that has to be done. Now, in Luke's case, where he was at Eaton, and I don't know if you ever had to do it or if that was the aide's job. The aide was expected to go and copy everything in the class to Luke. Now, they had to because they had no learning management system. They had nowhere to put any content at all for Luke. So it had to just come to him. In our case, you scan it to yourself and plop it right in your middle course for everybody to see, because I don't know about your classes, but I will say at least 75% of the things that I hand out in class are on the table when the students leave.
Yeah.
They lose them and they go, I need that thing again. I'm like, it's on Moodle. I almost think I shouldn't even hand out the paper copy because the fact that even if they do take it in their bag, they've lost it as soon as it enters the black hole of their sky, right?
Well, no.
So those things have to be on there. And that isn't just like a worksheet PDF. It's also the assignment. So many teachers put homework 1, and they don't have what the homework is in Moodle. And the kids, some of them it's a detention thing. They didn't pay attention to what the assignment was. And I am never sure why we had just cut and paste and plop it into Moodle. Now the student can get to it 24/7. Now they can use a screen reader to understand what the assignment is. Putting all of our content on our Moodle page is the only way to make any of these tools work. And you guys may be extra teachers of a class, and you may have the ability to edit it and add the text. Or you may be like, I need you to, you may have to be the advocate that says, please add the assignment to the assignment. I mean, I don't even understand that when the student clicks on it, they see a blank page. It's just a header that's in the grade book. I don't know what the assignment is. So adding those things, and that's the assignments. The content's just important, right? If I don't have the things that you're having them read, whether I scan the textbook and have the textbook on there, whether I use an online textbook, whether I don't use it, my textbook's so outdated, it's crazy. All my text is stuff that I either generated or AI generated, because when I learned about AI, I had it rewriting stuff to a lower textile level for my IEP students. So it was like, okay, everybody can read this. And then I have an advanced version And I assign this and say, this is supplemental reading. And I tell my gifted kids, I expect you to read the supplemental reading.
And it's the only thing we have trouble with, or I've had trouble with in the English class, but Martin did it really well, was having the books that they're doing, poems or whatever, read to them, so they can pay attention to it.
Gotcha.
She would find it on YouTube, whatever it was, and then have making my coffee. By the way, that's all right. I'm not American. I never had my. And she would have them then read and watch what was on YouTube for those stories. She followed,
Yeah.
like
So the person who is, first of all, not all kids like to read.
Right.
It's, and I'm going to say a lot of times with some of these tools, what I have heard when I've given classes in the past, then they won't learn how to do that. Well, I say this malarkey because how do we consume stuff now? I do it on Kindle. Every book I read is a book on tape. Jen Couch assigned a book for the admin team. The first thing I did was go buy it on Kindle so I can listen to it. I mean, that's the way people do things. We use speech to text. We use text to speech. Tell me the last time you wrote, well, maybe you did, I don't know. I haven't written a text forever. I hit the button. I say what I want to say. I hit send. I set down the phone. We use speech to text. Sometimes it doesn't say, well, it's me, speech to text. We use text to speech.
Right.
Why would we not teach them? And when teachers say, well, then they're not going to learn. I don't think that's true. I think Luke blossomed because he felt more and more and more successful because he was using those tools. He didn't learn less and less and less because the tools were doing his work. And I think that's part of the fear. So anyways, I'm off task. So we need to get the stuff online in order to use those tools. So I'm going to go through this the way we do digital format. If you don't know what OCR stands for, it stands for optical character recognition. It's the difference between a picture and text. If we just take a picture of a worksheet, that's not OCR. If we scan it with our scanners, it automatically does that. It turns it into text so a screen reader will work. If it's not, and so if you ever heard here it's not OCR, or one of the apps asks you if you want OCR, as soon as you open up a PDF, always say yes. It's not going to undo what's already been done, but it will turn that picture into text that kids can use. So that's what OCR stands for. All of our copiers is set up to always OCR. It's the default. Okay. You have to actually ask it not to. Okay. So there's some things on here I'm not going to go through 100% only for time. And I'm not going to go through this one in general. This is a video that if you've never watched it before, I haven't, by the way, if you go to this bit.ly/IEP Tools, that goes to this presentation, you get to all the links. And it's on the bottom of every slide, but IEP is caps, tools is lowercase, and is case sensitive. It's bit.ly/IEP Tools. And I only bring that up because we're not going to watch this video, but he talks about how reading is not intelligence. Intelligence, and reading is one kind of intelligence. It's not all intelligence. And I'm sure you've probably seen him before if I clicked him a link, but if you haven't, I'm going to go to link anyway. So I just said, I'm sure I'm not saying. We all looked at like this. Wow. And the kid was in the socket. And just turn off the sound?
I did. I think you did.
There we go. What about now?
You turned it down.
I did?
Yeah.
Without technology does not allow us to do anything other than average. But it is a whole nother thing. Whether technology changes and we can do more, or we don't realize it. That's where we are today. In the last few years, education, just like the rest of society, has gone digital. You don't believe me? Just consider this fact. U.S. public schools are one of the largest buyers of iPads in the world. So the question isn't, do you want the technology? It's already here. You already paid for it. Your question is, what do you want it to be? And this is where it really gets exciting. We have a chance right now and use this technology to create learning environments that are so flexible that they truly can nurture the potential of every single individual. Now, okay, I know we're not going to watch the whole thing. It's 20 minutes long, but if you haven't ever watched it before, I recommend it. It basically talks about how we can use tools to engage more learners. Okay, so the first thing I already said this is making sure the content is accessible and it's on Moodle, that the instructions are on Moodle, that they can use a screen reader, because it doesn't matter if we teach them how to use tools and then none of the content's there to do. That is a conversation with the classroom teacher that I know is a work conversation, especially for you guys, right? I need to ask you to do more work. But it's one time. It's not like you have to keep redoing it. Not that I don't. Every year I modify my content because I have to, because my class changes every year. That computer did not exist 2 years ago. It just didn't. There were 13 Gen i7s. So I have to modify every year. Most people don't have to. Most people, American history is American history. It doesn't go, at current events, maybe. So it's one time thing. The other thing is, every time I have instruction, I have a video of the instruction on my class. This is the reading on the chipset. There's reading. They click on the different chapters over here that open up in the Moodle textbook. And not everyone has a video, but a majority of them do. And that's for the games, right? When you guys say he can't read at all, that doesn't mean he's not smart. Right. And honestly, I wish you were to take my advanced tech class. He's the only one of the IEP kids that I was like, we really haven't engaged it, because he listens and he follows directions and he's very energetic about it. And I think he's a very pleasant individual and all that kind of stuff. But anyway,
He is truly one that is seeking out a way to overcome what he knows is a problem.
which is Steve, right? Look, right. Always, he's extremely resilient. He's like, I can't do it that way. But there's got to be another way, and couldn't get out of bed on Friday because mom and dad were dumb. We didn't think here's how his bed is in the house, and there's a big bar right here that comes out that he uses every day to get out of bed. We set up his dorm, here's his bed, and here's the bar. And it didn't even click in our head. Then we just put the bar on the opposite side. He spent his whole life going like this to get up, and now he's got to go cross bed, roll a different, or he couldn't do it.
Right.
But he can now. Yes, he ruined his DC poster, and it fell off the bed, onto his bed. He pushed it off on the floor, and then he had to fall on the floor to get up, and he ruined it. But anyway, but he's resilient to figure out how to do it, and he didn't even call us until after he had gotten past it. Just so you know, DC posters ruined in the frame, and what? Yeah, it fell on me in the middle of the night. But the point is, there are other ways to do everything. It just takes time to do it. Right. But anyway, so it's not just assignments. It's the information has to be on Moodle. So that's the first thing on making the content accessible. And if we do that, then we've got some tools. I'm going to go over these tools. These are the only ones I'm going to go over, and they're for very specific points. Okay, so there's 3 apps that Loop uses all the time, and one other item. So the first one is for text-to-speech. It does the other, but it doesn't do it well. So this is the one he uses for text-to-speech. And it's read and write for Google Chrome, or I'm going to bring it up here in a second. So I'm only going to go through one tool each one. The dictionary app is just to understand words that I didn't understand before. Okay. And then the Cami app is to be able to interact with PDFs online. And the last one, speech to text. We're going to talk about Google Docs. We've tried all of them, including Dragon Dictation, which is over $300 for the software, is supposed to be the best. Blech. was not. I don't know who that would be best for, but it wasn't best for Luke. I'll tell you that. So let's first of all, if you ever find an app that you wanna add, it's very simple to add. You just have to be logged into Chrome first of all. You have to see your picture up here in the top right hand corner that you're logged in. If you just Google wherever the app name is with the word Chrome App Store on it, it will take you to the app. Okay. And then it's almost always the first result if you get the name right. And then you just click add. That's all it is to add something to Chrome. So when we go to add read and write for Google Chrome, I just Google read and write, Google App Store, and then it will come up. And mine says it's already added. On mine is a screen capture of mine. On yours, if it's not added, it will say add. And you just go bump, and now you have it. So it allows you to change reading speeds. It allows you, I'm just opening more of my pages. It allows you to change reading speeds. It allows you to change voices. And its icon is this little purple puzzle. Okay. So if you've added it, you will see that little purple puzzle piece when you're logged in, and you should see you're logged in. That's my icon picture. And if I hit read and write, it pops up like this. It pops up like this. Oh, it did pop up. Oh, it's right there. I will tell you that I firmly believe this should be taught in every class, not IEP classes, every single class to week 1 to every single student. I make everyone put in a headphone, open it up, and use it one time to make sure everybody knows how to do it. And I say, if anybody's having questions and want to use it or how to set it up, just come and see me and we will. Okay. Now, the settings are over here in the little dots. So if I want to change anything, I just hit the 3 dots and say settings. The AI voices are way better. They're slower, but that's usually not a concern. So if I want it to read this to me, all I have to do is click in the text. And what I normally tell kids is highlight the whole first sentence, then hit play. The motherboard is considered as the main circuit of the computer. It contains the connectors for attaching additional boards. Okay, so if I don't like how fast, and that was too slow, I can go to settings. And under settings, if I go to speech, this is where I can say, how fast do you want him to read? It's just the slider bar that can pick. I'm going to speed it up and see how it sounds there. And if I want to change the voice, I can change the voice right there. I'm going to go ahead and close this and try it again and see how we do. Let's see if he reads a little better on this one. By the way, and we'll continue on to the next sentence. The motherboard is considered as the main circuit of the computer. It contains the connectors for attaching additional boards. The point being, if you're in control of that, that was way too fast. So I'm gonna go ahead and slow that back down. I'm gonna go right to the middle. It was just too slow. There's tons of voices on here. The non-AI one. Hello, this is your new voice. The non-AI one. Let's see. I gotta go to English. Oh, there we go. English Australian, English US. Let's see. Oh no, I don't want UK. In English Indian, you get accents. And it's really funny when you pick so instant are fine. Let's see if we'll see what it's. Hello, this is your new voice. And some kids like to hear a female voice, some like to hear a male voice. You get the idea. Motherboard is considered as the main circuit of the computer. It contains the connectors for attaching additional boards.
I have a question. So is this something the teacher puts on?
Typically, the motherboard contains the CPU, BIOS, memory.
Any kid can add Chrome down to their profile. It's me. That's why make sure you're logged on.
I think this would work great for working.
So
that's what.
Yeah. So read and write for Google Chrome only works on websites. So that's why the content has to be in your Moodle site, which is why it never worked. We could never use it at Eaton because they don't have any site. Google Classroom is not a site. It just I mean, it can't put content there. You can just put links to documents, which it can't read, by the way. So you add Readwrite to the student's Chrome account, and then it's always there. Every time I log on, everywhere I see Readwrite for Google Chrome. If it can read it, I can push that button. Okay. So there are some. We don't do a paid version. There are some additional things the paid version did, and if you were ever like, we really need the paid version for the student because they need to do blah, and I've researched it, that's just something to look into. But for Luke, we never found anything that the free version didn't do for him.
Yeah, I think that's
So,
thank you.
so that's Readwrite for Google Chrome. Dictionary just allows me to highlight a word and right click on it. And I don't have dictionary on right now, by the way, but it will read the word. It'll read the definition of the word. It will give us synonyms for the word. So if you've got a kid who, this is too high a reading level for, doesn't understand, I mean, just because you hear the words doesn't mean you understand the content.
Right.
Then they can look up the words, or you can use one of the AI tools to lower the textile reading level for them. Or Lexoc specifically. Anyway, so there's different numbers for reading levels for different abilities. And I don't actually know where all the numbers are. Like, I know 300's down here and 800's up here. And in most of the AI tools just let you pick a grade level. You can say, make this for third grade, and it will just rewrite it for third grade.
Slap the content in there, tell them to do it, and
Yeah.
was it? And slap at that.
Yeah. And you could also, like with Brisk, okay, so I have to close this. I'm on Brisk right now. I thought I had it open. Here's my Brisk tool. Right here is the Brisk button. I can just go there and say, change level right there. And I can say, you know what, I need this to be third grade, and hit change reading level. And it will go ahead and open up a Google Doc and take what was there and rewrite it at the new reading level. And I'm not going to wait for it to do it, but it's going to go through and rewrite the whole document at the new reading level. And then you could save this as a PDF, or you could I just copy and paste it right back into Moodle. It's like, and one of the things that we can do is we can make it so people on IEPs see one thing and people not on IEPs see another, so that they don't even know they're seeing the different thing. Right? They're just getting the different reading level already. For them. That's one of the things I like about Boost, because it just, right? And it just takes no time at all to change the reading level of something. And you can do it and you can see it has the link to the original article. But that's what's one of the reasons we paid for Boost. It also, I'm sorry, Brisk. Yeah. And I did close.
It's just like exile is it's Brisk. We all have this.
We all have that, yeah. But that's also a tool that you have to add to Google Chrome. So you have to add Brisk, and then you have that Brisket button there that you can click on when you're on any site. Now, if it's open, it'll just stay. It's just a little tiny button that stays down there. But this is a conversation for a later class. But you can also do all kinds of stuff. So if I say, I've got this reading and I want to come up with a quiz for the students on this, I can say activity. I can say I want to make a quiz, or I can make a character chat on it. I can make a tutor. All those things you can have Brisk create for you. So you can have an AI tutor on the page for them to chat with on the subject of that thing. And there's also, where's the quiz one? There's some way it'll make your quiz for you. Oh, maybe it's here. Create. Oh, there we go. So it'll create all these different kind of resources, including a podcast. Make a chat podcast of that page, which is one of the really cool things. Look, you can do an IEP goal off of it, MTSS plan off of that thing. It wouldn't make sense with this particular page. But if I wanted to go ahead and make a quiz off of this page, I can say, create a quiz off this page. I only want there to be 5 questions, multiple choice, third grade reading level, so that I can make a quiz just for these kids. I hit create, and it's going to go and create the, did I hit it? There we go. Okay. It's going to go and create a Google form of the quiz that I could give to those kids. I can also make it be a document that I can use to import into Google, but it just made that based on that website that I'm thinking about.
Let's make that 5 different levels.
Yeah. I could do different ones at different reading levels for the kids. That's why Brisk is so. But anyway, I'm off task. I'm way off task on that. So that's read write for Google Chrome. The same thing with the dictionary. It's just I don't have that one on right now because I don't have everything on, but it just allows you to do a dictionary lookup and look up the word. It'll, like I said, it'll read it to you and do the explanation. So those are 2 kind of content access ones. The third one is Cami, and he uses Cami a lot. And here's the thing with Cami. Not all kids are going to need Cami. A lot of kids can write and can do the worksheet. But if we have any other kids, and I don't know if we do, that have problems with being able to read content because it's so small, and I know we've probably got some visually impaired. If I've got it on Cami, right, I can just go like this on the screen and I can blow it up. And Luke's writing is really, really bad. But if he blows it up and he writes and then he shrink it back to normal size, I was like, oh, that's just a little messy. As opposed to unreadable. If he tried to write it as small as fits into a box at that size, it's not even a possibility. But if he zooms in, which he's perfectly capable of doing, and then writes it at the size that he can, and then zooms out, it's perfectly fine. Cami is, I think I put in a link. Oh, I have it here. Okay, so anytime you've got a PDF file, it can be in an assignment or linked right on Moodle. If you click on it and you have Cami installed, it opens in Cami. So I'm going to open up one of mine. This is a worksheet that I have right here above. This is open with Cami. And that's because I don't have Cami as my primary. Or maybe because I've logged in or one. So we all have the ability to use the basic version of Cami. However, we pay for one classroom license. I'm the teacher of that classroom, and I can have 100 kids in my class that have the full version. So if you have anybody that I want this person to have the full version of Cami, just I'll send you the code, and up top, you just click on Cami to join the classroom. And okay, go ahead, put that in over. I'll show you what it's like. So I can zoom in on Cami, which obviously this worksheet is kind of small, so I'm going to zoom it in. And if I have a student, this will allow my student, and with Luke, he's doing it with his touchscreen, which again, if you haven't used a touchscreen, we can get them on with a touchscreen. We have all the ones that we're giving out to staff members. We have at least 20 left. I don't want to give them out to kids that don't need it, obviously. But if we have kids who do, then I don't know, and we want to do, right? So in this case, with the touchscreen, Luke would have been able to he could write on there by using the markup tool. He can just pick what kind of pen he wants to use, and he can pick the color, and he can pick the type of pen, and he could, and what am I not doing? There we go. Let's see if I got it. And then he can, I don't like that pen. That's a highlighter. Let's see, text highlighter now. What's that one? Box highlighter. Oh, down here is that the pen? Nope, that's not it either. How do I get the pen? Drawing? See, I don't use it the way he does. Let's try it here. All right, there we go. Okay. So then he can just, with his finger, he can just write on. He can zoom in all the way. He can write the answers. If the kids are doing it, it's a worksheet. They can go and figure out which things, in this case, this is a wattage worksheet, and then they can open their calculator and put the numbers down there if they want to. They can go and hit the text box, and they can hit anywhere, and they can type in, which is what Luke did most of the time, because it's more legible if he types in the answer than if he writes in the answer. Cami will only interact with PDFs, but will also read them, and I will let them do speech to text if they have the paid version of it. Okay. This is a tool that is not going to apply to everyone, but I guarantee you there are kids in our district that would use Candy. If he does it this way, when he's done doing the homework, he just hits share and it gives them, it says, who do you want to share? Okay, I'm going to share it to anyone with the link. And then he's got this link and he just emails that to the teacher or submits it on Moodle. And when the teacher clicks on it, it just opens that document with everything he's written on it. And so it's not hard. When the kids use it a couple times, they're good. You know, it's not like one of those things you have to sit behind them and do all the time. So that's Cami. That's the third tool. So these ones you have to add to Google Chrome one time, and then every single time the student is on, they have access to all those tools. Okay. The next one's speech to text. Like I said before, we tried a whole bunch of them, and Google Docs works great. And I'm going to go through it. Okay, so here's an argument that I've had with multiple teachers. Luke uses Grammarly to identify mistakes in his grammar when he uses speech to text every time. And I've had teachers say, well, then they won't learn how to do grammar correctly. It doesn't change it for him. It identifies it and makes suggestions, just like you would if you were sitting right next to him. Did Grammarly help teach him? Yes, it did. It doesn't just make changes. And that's where I get in this argument with none of you guys have I gotten this argument with before, but I've gotten this argument with IEP teachers, like, we can't let them use Grammarly. It will fix their work. No, we'll tell them what they need to fix on their work and allow them to fix their work. Where are we in the world today? Are we going to have a nuclear holocaust that these tools are not going to be available to them next year? Yes, right? They are. They need to learn how to use the tools to make themselves successful. We don't need to go and beat this is not the way we learned when I was in 5th grade, you know, and that's what I feel like. Some teachers are so stuck back there, they don't want to use these tools. Copy and paste an AI to proof it. I obviously do not think that's cheating. Luke would use Grammarly, and then he'd pop it into AI and say, please tell me any mistakes I made, or show me what I could change on this. That's not the same as saying, write me a paper. That's saying, proof my paper. What's the difference between that and Mrs. Elias coming in and saying, Miss Elias, can you look at my paper and tell me what I did wrong? Nothing, except for I don't have to raise my hand and get Miss Elias to come over. She's got 20 other kids in the room, and I got help just like I will in life. And that's, to me, if we're not teaching them to use these tools, not to cheat. Luke understands the difference between cheating and not cheating. And I know there are going to be teachers that think he's cheating when he uses AI. I guarantee it, because they're still in the Stone Ages and aren't willing to learn that these are the tools that we have in life today. I absolutely should not say write my paper on the Gettysburg Address. Is there any reason saying, I just wrote this paper on the Gettysburg Address, please tell me what is wrong or is written incorrectly? And it tells me, and I make the changes. Okay, then he copies and pastes it in his assignment. I don't know that I need to show you guys Google how, what do you do? Now you know we're good. How that works, but if you've never used it before, he just has a document that he uses all the time. And then you go to tools and go to voice typing, and it opens up this, and you have to click on it. And if you've never used it before, you have to say aloud to use my microphone one time, unless you say this time only, but usually you say all the time. And then whatever you type goes into the document. It's really easy. I'm not going to get done with everything. And I have these little slide, benefits versus fears of using those tools. There's tons of benefits. The fear is, or the thing I've heard, they're not going to learn. I don't believe that. They're still getting feedback. They're just getting instruction from a computer on what needs to be changed. I think all these things, and the biggest thing to me is the confidence that make them feel like they can succeed. They will try to succeed. If we continually make them feel like they're failing, kids give up, right? So of all these things, to me, the confidence boost is the biggest thing that they can get out of this. And I put this on there really for you guys to share with other teachers if people say they don't want them to use that tool. Here's why. Here's why I think that tool can be good. Okay, the last thing, and I'm not going to have time to go through it all, but is on, I've already said, making your content in a usable format. The first thing I've already talked about, so I'm not going to talk any more about that. You just need to put it on Moodle so it can be used. The second one is one of the easiest things that does not get used by teachers, making quizzes read to their students. All of my quizzes, no matter what the text is, they can hit the play button and they hear me reading the question. That's why I don't have to send them across the hall to have you read it to them, because they can just hit play and I'm reading it to them. Yes, they could use Reading Right for Google Chrome. It will read these questions as well as I did. Okay? And if they get a little something out of hearing you read it, I mean, especially Luke was really good about listening to how you read it. Oh, it must be C. I don't do that, but, I mean, some kids are better at it. That is one of the easiest things that's overlooked. When you're editing any question in the middle, all you do is hit the microphone. It pops up a box. You read it, you hit record, you hit stop, and it goes, bump, and it puts it right in there. And that's it. It is so easy, it's ridiculous. Microphone, record. When you're done recording, it lets you listen to it to see if it's what you wanted. And then you just hit place in the question and it puts it right in there for you. It's a one-time thing, yes. You have to go through it, and you can't do it all one time, right? You can't go and do your whole little course, but I have a quiz tomorrow where I go to proof the quiz. Oh, I didn't get those recorded. I get those recorded. And obviously I miss some. Sometimes they're recording, and all the students say, there's no recording for this question. Actually, I've never had a student say that, but they could say that if they wanted to. So that's the easiest thing. The next thing is, there's a class on this at the end of the day that's already recorded. This is why I think recording and posting your lessons are great for all kids, but IEP kids in particular, so that they have a second chance to absorb that content. And I say, it's for kids who are distracted, overwhelmed, ADD, ADHD, audible, or visual learners, who are low readers. And I said, which is not necessary. I was this. I had definitely ADHD. We didn't identify me, but I guarantee you, of any given calculus class, I was there for at least 20 minutes of the 45 minutes. The other 25, I was on the beach. I was thinking of the girl over there in my class. I just wasn't there. And then I come back, I'm like, I have no idea how you finished that calculus question, right? If I could have watched it at 2 times, whatever. So in all of mine, if they link to this is like an assignment. If they go to the assignment, the recording of the class is there as well. So if they miss the class, they don't have to watch the recording, or if they didn't understand it, they can watch the recording of that particular type of lesson. The text is there as well. They go through, and I've had lots of people say no one will watch that. I've got 397 views of one particular video. I don't have that many kids. They do watch it, and I'm not watching it. I get my numbers up. Okay. So the kids will watch it. And you can see over time, there are maybe only 8 kids watch this one, but they do watch it. So there are 2 different ways to do it. The easiest way is just to use, are these going to start playing on the room? No. And these videos are there linked to the thing. We don't, it's already done. So, but if you want to know how to do it, I'm using OBS Studio because it lets you add a webcam so that you can be in it, which you can use your document hammering to do. Most teachers, when they start, do not ever want to be in the video. I was not in the videos for at least 15 years until Lon Swihart said, your videos are really friggin' boring without you in them. Can you be in the videos? And I mean, literally, that's there. I'm like, I guess so. I never thought about it. He's like, yeah, they're really hard to watch when there's nobody teaching the class. Now, does a kid care about that for a 5-minute thing? Probably not. I don't know. I felt very strongly overloaded that it was important because they needed to see us. So there's definitely, but this way is super easy. Just hit record and stop or pause. This is the smart software way. I will tell you the only thing you cannot play a video inside this recording. It will break the video. So if you're hitting record, and then I bring up a video for 10 minutes for the kids to watch, and I'm recording the video getting recorded. It will never work. I don't know why. But Jonathan Bryan and I figured that out like, I don't know, 5 or 10 years ago. It just breaks it when you try to record something that's already recorded. But if you're just doing your class, it works just fine. OBS always works, and it does a higher resolution output. And it's a few more steps. But these 2 videos are basically on how to do that. I'm not going to go through that. There's also a video on how to use it, using both ways, and how to post it if you want to. I post all my classes to my calendar, so the kids, if they miss a day, it's on Tuesday. You just have to click on Tuesday. You miss Tuesday, So when they come in and they go, "What did we do yesterday?" I'm like, "I don't know. What did you do yesterday?" So on the video, who can do a class in 5 minutes? It was an 80-minute class. If I can't tell you in the 2 minutes you're getting me as you walk by my door, anyway. So I strongly feel like this is something that's super beneficial to kids that is underutilized. Is it additional time? Yes, there's some additional time with getting things on it initially. There's a little bit of additional time on teaching your students how to use the apps, but once they got it, they got it. You don't need to teach them every year how to use it. There's a little bit of additional time in recording the questions and the quizzes, but how long does it take? Just hit record, read the thing, hit stop, post. Recording and posting your lessons is more of a I have to change a little bit of the way I do things kind of thing. But even that, my first version was never, I sat down and green screened it. It was just, I recorded the class and I put the class in the lesson. And then later, especially over COVID, I had green screened the basement. I re-recorded things because what else was I going to do? But try to make the same thing I already had look a little bit more professional than it did before. So anyways, that's it. Look, I'm making it in time. Yeah. Do you guys have any questions? I mean, really, I didn't want to go over a million tools, but those things make us succeed. Sometimes certain staff members didn't do it that way, and it made it that much harder for him to get the content stuff.